Okay, so now we are at our final video short in regards to sales and mental health. And we're going to talk about the identity tangle. So, when identity gets tied too closely to performance, so that means that every little dip feels like a personal failure. And it's separating self worth from the results. How difficult is that to be able to do that? But also to ensure your well-being. Um, it's hard in sales because you feel like you are your numbers, right? I mean, that becomes literally your identity. And often it's really hard to separate and have them recognize, like, I used to get into the habit of, like, celebrate the small victories. For example, you got a LinkedIn connection with somebody that you had been chasing for the last 18 months. Yay, that's a victory. Like, celebrate the small stuff, even if your numbers are not that great. So it's not all about, like, you need to have, 10 meetings a week and you need to have, like, this much activity. So Ashley, what are your thoughts of how do you stay healthy, mentally healthy through something like this?
Yeah, I mean, we first have to look at the bigger system that we're a part of, kind of culturally, societally, and recognize that we are an achievement obsessed culture. And then you kind of narrow it even further into sales organizations, and you get more obsession around achievement because there's a lot on the line tied to that achievement. But there's a lot of undoing and unlearning that we have to go through in this process of recognizing the difference between our worth and our value and the wholeness of who we are versus this one aspect of who we are, which is our achievements. And that the danger, so there's an upside to being intimately connected, your self-worth being intimately connected to your achievements, which is it fuels you, it's motivating, it drives you. Um, the downside is that when we don't achieve, whether that has to do with something on our part or anything else, that there's a huge threat. It's not just about a loss. It's not just about, "Ugh, that didn't work out." It becomes about me as a person and my worthiness. Like, well, I guess I'm not worthy anymore because I'm not achieving. And when we say it like that, like, oh my gosh, of course we know if you were to come to me and say something along those lines, I would be like, "Oh my gosh, Anna, that's not true at all." Like, yes, that was a big loss, but absolutely, we still need you on this team. You bring so much to this team and this, that, and the other. You're so dynamic and we've learned so much from you, whatnot. We can see it in others, but it's much harder when it's ourself. So we have to recognize and kind of give ourselves um, the same grace and compassion and understanding that we give to other people. And if you've heard of the concept of self compassion, this is what it is. It's essentially how would you talk to somebody you loved or even just cared about? you know, we would never be so harsh with other people as we are with ourselves. And so that's the tool is the tool of self-compassion when we are in these tricky situations, these tricky experiences in sales to talk to ourselves as we would somebody else and to really look at ourselves as a whole person and see all the positives and all the ways that we do contribute to the team, to the organization, just like we would if we were talking to somebody who we cared about.
Ashley, that hits home because I can so relate to what you're saying. And actually, just recently, in a therapy session, where I was making a comment saying, like, I should just be able to shake it off and and kind of get over it. And then the therapist saying to me, "Would you give that advice if you were talking to?" like this person or this person or this person, I was like, "Oh my God, no." No, not at all. I would be like more compassionate, right? And more caring. So it's like, so why aren't you caring to yourself? And you're hitting the nail on the head. And you're right. It's for whatever reason we don't hold ourselves to the same standard as we would want it, how we treat others. But again, I think that's such a great point, and hopefully it hits home to a lot of our listeners, especially as we're in, mental awareness month.
Yeah. I mean, even like if you think about saying what you say to yourself to somebody else, it's probably like not just no, I wouldn't say that. Like, oh, I would never say that. Like that is so cruel. And yet we feed it back to ourselves all the time. And one of the reasons is again, a lot of us have grown up with this idea that that is how you motivate yourself and others is to just kind of tough love, if you will, toughen up and suck it up and keep going. And so we haven't traditionally grown up with this concept of compassion and self-compassion as methods of motivation. And they really are. Like there's a ton of research. It's not just this fluffy concept of be nice to yourself. There is a ton of research that supports that self-compassion really does motivate us. It really does fuel that confidence that you've always talked about is so important, especially in sales. It gives us that ability to see all of who we are and the good parts of who we are amidst the challenges that we're experiencing. And that's so much more powerful to things like motivation and focus and relationship building and confidence. So yeah, I mean, even it's something you can try right now. I'm sure there are everybody listening has something that they're beating themselves up over. And so I'd encourage people to flip that script right now and use the same language that you would with somebody who you really care about if they were going through the same thing and just notice the difference that it instantly creates.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley. As we wrap up our six-part series, I think one, kind of valuable lesson is that salespeople don't need to be invincible. They need real tools to be able to manage the emotional load of the demanding high performance role that they have. So much of what we've been talking about here doesn't show up in normal training programs, but it's important for us to make a difference, between the reps and observing burnout and making sure that we can sustain performance, but more importantly, have that care and compassion to the sales team. Ashley, your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just would encourage everybody to take this on as practice and look at our mental strength like we do our physical strength. Like you can't go to the gym, unfortunately, for a week and then go, "Oh, I'm good. I don't have to ever focus again on my physical health." And the same is true for our mental strength and our mental health, that we have to make a commitment to engaging in regular practices. And sometimes we're going to really do well with those. And then sometimes there will be moments where we lapse. But to continue to stay committed to building that mental strength, that's key.
Excellent. Ashley, this has been fantastic. I look forward to doing this again with you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna.